and Phil Faris, our flanker back.
Our story starts on the gridiron, Ball State, 1967. A young and hungry defensive halfback intercepts the ball and runs it back 97 yards for a Cardinals touchdown, a new school record. It's the kind of story that often becomes legend, but it almost never happened.
My senior year in high school, I had a significant knee injury. When I had my knee injury, ACL reconstruction wasn't done. Anterior cruciate ligament reconstructions weren't done. Now it's a very common operation, obviously. And so I ended up having 3 surgeries in high school, my senior year.
Dreams of playing for a Big Ten team, the likes of Ohio State and Purdue, were dashed.
When I tore my knee up, I was a halfback in high school, and without an anterior cruciate ligament, you can't play that position. So you can't cut anymore. So it's hard for them to give scholarships to guys who are in casts.
So it was then that Phil Faris decided to trade in his sneakers for a scalpel.
When you're in medical school and you're rotating through all these different rotations, you kind of change your mind all the time. But pretty much after I rotated through orthopedics and surgery, I decided that was where I was going to end up.
I was a pretty good athlete, which is probably the most difficult thing to deal with.
Mike Lavisick grew up in Montreal, Quebec. An all-around good athlete, he excelled at hockey, football, and baseball.
I knew there was something wrong. The thing is, when you're young, you're in denial.
It started with stiff knees.
I would always be really sore. I was always the guy that was not practicing all week because of my knees, but I was a decent player, so the coaches didn't care.
The pain persisted. The recovery never came.
I noticed it when we would finish a game, especially football, and we would go out as a team to have a team supper after we played on Saturday, and everybody else was running around having a good time and kind of just tired, and I really ached. I felt like I was a 70-year-old man. Doctors eventually diagnosed Mike with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. I actually thought the doctor was a quack the first time I got diagnosed because I was 16 at the time, and the doctor came back and said that I had JRA, and I said, there's no way. And I essentially denied it for years. But there was no denying the pain, and by the time Mike graduated college, he faced his first of what would eventually be more than a half a dozen joint replacements. I tried to be careful, but I was a young guy. With 2 new hips and 2 new knees, Mike felt invincible. I didn't baby them. I continued to play sports and just rip the joints up and continued to do what I did.
When I saw him, he'd been beating up on his joint replacements for several years, and at least 3 of them were broken and loose and all kinds of things.
Enter Dr. Faris, someone who not only understood Mike's pain, but could fix it.
When I came in to have my knees done, I think they were completely loose in the bones, and so they were just wobbling around in the bones, and I had one kneecap that had actually spun around. What I liked about him is that he was honest. He said, listen, you need to have your knees done again.
2 knees and a hip later, and Mike is still singing Dr. Faris's praises.
Good guy, really good surgeon, straight to the point. I really appreciated what he did for me.
Mike had a lot of bone loss and terrible deformities, and so, you know, fortunately we had the technology at that stage that we were able to rebuild those things and give him some new bone back and that sort of thing. And those technologies are better now than they were when we redid him. And probably in 20 years they'll be gone. You can't believe what those guys used to do, you know?
A consummate student and scientist at heart, Dr. Faris is also a published researcher. Never satisfied with just fixing joints, he and his colleagues at the Center for Hip and Knee Surgery strive to find the next big breakthrough.
So we have more peer-reviewed papers outside of the Mayo Clinic of any place in the country. So the research output from here is amazing.
Dr. Faris has also benefited from that research, now flirting with the idea of retirement. He can't wait to put his new knee to the test. Still an avid athlete, Dr. Faris snow, water, and cross-country skis, bicycles, hikes, golfs, and travels. Oh, and did we mention he has an affinity for fast cars? So what will be his legacy?
I don't know that there's a single high point. I mean, you know, it's kind of a continuum. You just hopefully help people and make people feel better and able to do the things they want to do.
Like Mike, now a motorcycle driving, video game wielding world traveler.
He's given me a reasonably normal life. I mean, it's something that very few people have the opportunity to do that in their career. And to be good at what you do on top of it is really a great thing.